Hey everyone, welcome to In the Foxhole. I am your host, JC Chanowski.
And I'm Angela Schroeder. Thanks for being here with us today. Today, we are so excited to have Will Morales join us. Thanks for being here, Will.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, it's an honor. It's a privilege, I should say. I've got the opportunity to hang out with both of you together, and together you guys are incredible. Individually, you guys are even more special. So I love that you guys have combined, and yeah, thank you for having me on.
That was nice.
Awesome. That was nice. So I met Will in many capacities through knowing his family, and then get the privilege of working out with him and him challenging me in the gym to move my body in ways that I need to and find my weaknesses. And I brought JC to a class when he was in Omaha.
And I woke up the next day and I was sore in places I didn't think you could be sore.
I love it.
I thought I fell off a bridge or something. It was
and it was stretch and mobility class.
Yes, just stretching.
Yeah, that's my jam. That is my jam. And I love truthfully that I'm on here because we get to talk about our struggles, our weaknesses. So that's what I do in the sense of my training philosophy. If we work on our weaknesses, then I think globally our strengths are going to show themselves even more. And as we work on our weaknesses, no matter what, we're going to get stronger. So I think people like to shy away from what they're bad at, and as an entrepreneur, as a business person, again, you want to highlight your skills. You want to be the best of the best. But to grow as an individual, you have to hammer those weaknesses. So if that's one thing that I can give you to share is just work on the stuff you're not good at. It can be, for me, sometimes it's prioritizing my time. I'm not that good at that. So that's a skill that I need to work on. I need to work on my organizational skills. But back to you. Sorry.
No, I love that because that's what you pointed out in the gym. I mean, the areas of the things that I really needed to work at so many times in every area, like you said, and in the gym, I was like, let me do the things that are easy that I'm really good at instead of the things that are painful and hurt.
Yeah.
So,
and quickly, I'm just thinking to myself as you're speaking, like in strength performance function or sports and things like that, we know where we're weak at and we train to those things. But I feel like often in business and life, we neglect those things. But why? So
is it the ego? Do we just, for me, I spent so many years of just only doing what I was good at, but I don't think you can grow that way. I don't think it's, you get to that pinnacle of maybe you're the best, we can call it financial advisor. You get to that top notch, but I think year after year, somebody will catch you, So I think to grow individually, that's where it is, JC. You have to just find other areas, like be willing to be the worst at something, because again, for me, I'm 37, but at 35, I started jujitsu. And I wanted to do this for my life. I just didn't have the confidence because I go from passion to passion. And at 35, I didn't want to try and fail. And I didn't want to try and be the worst. But on a whim, I try to give myself like $500 a year to get some sort of coaching. And in my brain, I thought, if I could pay this guy $500, that's 12 sessions that I'm going to get. And in that 12 sessions, he's going to teach me at least one thing of jujitsu, or I can master jujitsu in 12 sessions. And then I go in there, lo and behold, there's a 150-pound guy who just absolutely breaks me. The coach that I'm paying, he was like top 10 in the world. In his day, he's like 58 at the time, but just makes me look foolish. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what did you think? You were going to pay $500. You're going to master this thing called jujitsu. Wrong. So what I'm saying is sometimes our thinking of ourselves gets in the way. If that's the ego, it's the ego. But I think oftentimes you do have to go back and do things that you really are bad at, terrible at. And I think we were talking about just a little earlier, for me, it's organizational skills. I know I need to work on. I know I need to work on my time management because you talk to my beautiful wife and she will be like, what is a character flaw of Will? Time management. So I know it. And sometimes the person next to you, like you two right there, sometimes you can see each other, you can feel each other out. And you see the best in JC, but you also see areas that he could work on, and vice versa. But it's because you see their limitless potential. And sometimes we don't see it inside ourselves, or maybe we see the flaw, but we don't it's just too hard to work on because we don't want to be the worst. We don't want to start out at the bottom again. So I guess that's what I've taken, and I do understand what I need to do, but that's why I'm here. I want to learn from you guys and be like, how do you guys get those skills? How do you guys go on the weakness path and then bring it up to match, the level of success that you have? That would be a question that I would throw your way.
I love that you said the willingness to start at the bottom again. So we're going to dive into those.
Yes.
But I want to start back over for the audience and give us the Will highlight reel. Tell us about who you are.
Okay. So I like to say that I come from humble beginnings, and all that truthfully means when you hear it from anybody is I was dirt poor. So my parents had me when they were 15 years old. So I guess naturally in my life cycle, I was on this struggle path. I knew I was going to have to struggle. I was gifted this big body. So I'm like 6'4", and, I have this nice skin. And let's say my pigmentation didn't necessarily play out well for me. I grew up in a town of 2,000 people. So again, I don't want to talk like the victim, because everything that I have experienced has really led to be this beautiful man that I am now. But I do look back and just see that there's different parts of my life that I had to struggle. I had to, if I'm the poorest kid in the town, that's hard. But there's a willingness that you have to go through to, again, see your potential. You can either play the victim role or you can find something you're good at. And then that's where we go into this passion prospecting, this passion kind of driven mind or growth mindset. I didn't know that that's what I had, but I could find myself, falling in love with, say, basketball. I loved basketball. Again, I got little Michael Jordan on today. I don't know why. I just felt called to wear it. So, and I've always wanted one of these. So again, I go back to my youth and, I find myself falling in love with basketball. So I seclude myself into a gym, or that's where I really, truly find confidence in myself. So the more that I'm willing to work hard, the more that I'm willing to be consistent in something, the more confidence that comes to me. And so fast forward, I grow up in the town. I'm just a little different. So I have to overcome these different obstacles. So I think I was one of two Mexican guys in my town. So it was hard. And I say that awesomely because, I don't think kids understand the power of words. But as you go through life, sometimes words hurt. Sometimes those projections on you they're a little harsh and you don't know what they do to you back then. But say your self-esteem is a little bit out of whack. Say your confidence is a little out of whack. But again, those struggles make me who I am today. And I took being different as kind of a cool thing. So again, I could seclude myself in a gym, play basketball. And if I'm successful there, I have these different opportunities. So in my brain, I'm like, oh gosh, I just have to pick up some skills. So if basketball is if that's my passion, that's a skill that I can take with me. So as I keep playing basketball, it leads me into these different, camps. I find myself connecting with a team in Kansas when I'm in 8th grade, and I basically get to go live with this family. The dad had played for the Houston Rockets, and I get to go just live with him. I get to immerse myself in a whole different, family. And it was just because my parents couldn't afford to travel. So basically this guy was the coach and he was like, well, I see some potential in this kid. And that's where I see finding a passion and really giving everything to that. So fast forward, I find this success in basketball, and I leave that summer and come back, and my freshman year I'm able to play on varsity, and which is pretty cool because it doesn't really happen. But for me, I'm like, oh crap, I just have to keep practicing. I got to keep, some people will just hang out all summer. Like, if I just stay in a gym, I'm going to get better. Again, so get varsity. We end up making it to state the first time in like 50 years, which is pretty cool. And then we're the only class to make it all 4 years, which is awesome. We never win the championship. We get to the finals and we end up losing. But I think, again, that just leaves a little chip on my shoulder, knowing that, well, there's different ways to succeed. But if I just have this passion, if I keep practicing, I can keep going further. So then I get a scholarship to play in college. So pretty cool. But I just keep realizing it's all in the practice. It's all in the immersion of whatever. It could be a business. If it's holiday lighting, you better make sure you have the coolest pullover that has holiday, have the coolest shoes. Just know that that's your passion, and Angela, you speak, you live what you speak. So you guys are following the same principle. I think there's so many people we look at, the people behind me, Magic Johnson, Sean Merriman, these guys they fell in love with something and they did it to excellence. So going back to jiu-jitsu, I understood that basketball was my way out. That got me out of my situation. And then I would find these other things. I found kettlebells where, again, I'm the body engineer, but I just fell in love with the body. I'm a physical therapist assistant that's my big boy job, where I worked for 11 years before I got this opportunity. But I learned the body. I learned, through basically it was earn knowledge rather than learn knowledge. So I was in a bad car accident when I was 23, and I broke my T2 vertebrae to my L5 vertebrae because I was ejected from a vehicle. And the blessing was I was just finishing up with college. So I was going through the anatomy. I was learning about rehab, all these different things. So I could just basically self-rehab myself. Maybe I didn't do it to perfection, but I had a lot of people around me that could help me out. And if I could ask questions, they could answer. And sometimes if they didn't have the answer, it just took a little bit of work. It took a little bit of isolation, and kind of back to the same principle, go back in and do the work, do the practice. And again, that's the body is just like the business. The body is the biggest business card too. I think you guys are tons and tons of energy. You guys you guys vibe well. So I would want to do business with you because you guys are taking care of yourself. And I guess that's how I'm living now, is the more that I keep working on myself, physically I'll look better, but internally I know that the confidence is coming. This is a long-winded story, so we're fast forwarding. So, but
you wove lots of lessons in there.
It really is, and I find so much joy in really giving the time to what truly matters. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to immerse yourself in whatever you're doing. You got to pick one area and hammer on it. And then as your skill gets a little bit better, then find another area. And if you can start to combine that in your business, I think that is a perfect combination for success. It might not show up overnight. It might not show up in 5 years. It might not show up in 10 years. But I think if you continue to do it, to do the work, it has to happen. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, and I have a bunch of beautiful mentors around me that I get to see through trial and error that, wow, you're going to fail. You're going to fail often. So with that, keep failing, but don't ever stop. So yeah, that was
I was going to say, if you're going to fail forward. Just keep
fail
going
forward. Yeah. So with that, I go to that car accident, just understanding from basketball, I got to do the work. With that car accident, I had to do the work to get back. I'm still continuing to work on my weaknesses. Say my feet. I broke my feet. So that's a weakness that I have. But that's like 10 years. That's 10 years of working on it. So it doesn't come overnight. Again, I used to say I'm not very good at anything, but I'm really good at struggling. But I have to knock on wood because I think the universe was hearing me, because it was like just different things would happen. So 2022 was my year of patience. I choose a word of the year. Never choose patience, because I started out the year and I tore my pec January in jiu-jitsu. And fast forward a few months, find out I'm going to be a dad as well. So I get all of this. I get the joy of overcoming.
You find out you're going to be a dad, and you already had.
I already have 2 kids. Yeah, 2 beautiful boys.
And the youngest was.
He's 1. So yeah.
Yeah, when you found out.
Yeah, so they're 16 months apart.
Yeah.
And so it was a beautiful blessing. But where I'm going is I get these things happening, and then I get prostate cancer thrown at me in the middle of the year. So I basically keep saying I'm not very good at these things. I'm good at struggling. So I don't say that anymore. Now I'm just saying, like, in my past, I was really good at struggling through anything. I was really good at, sticking to a course and figuring out till it came to fruition. Now I'm just saying I'm a thriving, like I'm Angela Schroeder. Like that's how I'm living my life. So to close that story up, I just think that through all those trials and tribulations, I just learned that you have to sit into whatever, let's say, trenches, bad things, good things. You have to sit into all of it, experience it all. And then from there, if you just don't give up, it will work out for you. And it's a never-ending game, because there's different obstacles that will keep showing their face. And as you experience one obstacle, good, bad, or ugly, if you can do it with a smile on your face, the next one that comes, it's honestly not that bad. It's like a cold plunge. It sucks every single time, but it gets more manageable every single time. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have yet to do the cold plunge.
One day.
So yeah, well, then we'll definitely have to have you guys, like, when you're back in town. I get together with a guy every Thursday, and we do cold plunge and sauna, and just the amount of like suffering in that is pretty awesome, because what it does is it leads to some beautiful conversations. So that's another thing, like the finding struggle. And to go back to my beginning, like I find myself, always questioning, like, am I doing enough? Like, gosh, I got to do more. And I think that's got to be every entrepreneur's brain. Like, I've got to be, success has to be coming now. And then the only way that I can get that part of my brain to shut off and to really appreciate the moment, appreciate the things that I have, is to really do some hard work. So I find myself letting my mind get out of grasp, and then to really harness it back in, I just go a little bit crazy. Maybe it's a little mobility. Maybe it's just getting really tired in there. Or, I can go on a long run. I fell in love with these kettlebells. That's another passion project for me. 5 years ago, I was Googling just what is one of the hardest certifications you can get as a personal trainer, because that's just my way my brain works. And I found this thing. It's called Russian Kettlebell Certified Instructor. So it's called the RKC. And with this certification, 40% of people will fail it. And I basically trained 5 months to attain this certification, and I was the only one in the class that passed it. And you have up to 3 months to retake it again. So it's just basically the snatch test, which you snatch a kettlebell above your head 100 times in 5 minutes, and it's a 53-pound kettlebell. So tons of endurance, tons of stamina, tons of like, please don't rip my hand. But I do it, and I'm like, wow, like, this is awesome. Like, I don't want to waste what I trained for. I had abs, and I was just like feeling just confident as all get out. And again, that goes back to if you dive into something long enough, that's where a little bit of confidence comes in. And for me, that's what it did. It just gave me some confidence. And I was like, I could either go back to happy hour burgers and beers, or I can stay on this path. So then I started seeking out different coaches, and I learned about this thing called kettlebell sport. And all that it entails is it's Olympic weightlifting with kettlebells. So I entered this competition for kettlebell long cycle, which is clean and jerk. And you basically have 10 minutes to clean and jerk. So lifting half of your body weight. For me, I weighed in at 206 pounds and I lifted 106. So 53 pounds and 53 pounds. And you have 10 minutes to clean and jerk as many reps as you can in that allotted time, but you can't set the weights down. So it's just pure endurance. It's pure breath work. It's almost perfection. You have to hit each rep perfect. It's like a swish. But I trained another 5 months. So it was 10 months of training for my first competition. And it was in Detroit, Michigan. And I had this PR that I wanted to hit, this rep count. And with that rep count, it was 87. I didn't hit the rep count, but I ended up getting first place in the IKFF Worlds with 76 reps. But since I didn't hit my rep count, it's like I left this competition almost like empty. I thought this 10 months I gave away, I was going to feel this sort of success, like I made it or something like that. And I didn't feel anything besides like, God, I need to go back and practice a little more and see if I can get this rep count. That's what helps me get my brain back. So to come back, like I was just saying how my brain will get away, I just had to do a little hard work. And you guys are out there grinding and working out. And I see your guys' posts. And I'm wondering, does that do the same thing for you? Is that how you guys get your brain in alignment to conquer the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that we can motivate each other every morning or even at night when we do things is great to have that, because I've never had a partner who's pushing me to do better every day. And it's not her saying like, you're fat, you're lazy, you need to do better.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you're like Sunday. I said, I don't want to go cycling. I'm like, I'm tired. She's like, you're going to regret this more if you don't go than do go. And I felt amazing the rest of the day, the whole ride. I was just sitting there just smiling, thanking her, even though she wasn't with me. But if it wasn't for her, I would have been sleeping. Mm-hmm. So just to have somebody push me and push my, to be better every single day, it's phenomenal.
I love that.
Yes, it is. And on that point, I'll talk more about, because yes, it is to have somebody pushing you, but that when we don't want to, those moments that you have this ounce of, no, I don't want to, this feels better, to always think about, and that's what I remind you of, you're only going to regret going and being on that bike while you're on the bike. During the suck. You're only going to regret doing it during the suck. But when you don't get up and do it, you don't start your day with the workout, you regret it the rest of the day and maybe the rest of the week. And if you're training for something, you regret those ones that you missed. It is remarkable to have somebody that pushes you. And I think when you push yourself physically, when we start the day out with that or do something new, I'm not going to speak into the universe like you just said. You changed what you're speaking in. Like, I'm good at the struggle. I used to say, I don't like running. I'm not a runner.
That's when I met her.
Right.
Even though when we met, like the very first 24 hours we met, I did 5K with you.
You did. The whole 5K.
The whole 5K. Yes. But I've started running, pushing myself a little and doing intervals and working with you then to work my body in different ways. And I think when we really push ourselves physically, which is hard to do on your own without being part of a group or somebody challenging you or somebody pointing out your weaknesses, I always feel like I'm doing better in the rest of my life and in business when I'm pushing myself harder physically.
That's spot on. That is spot on. And truthfully, it's like that little moment of, hey, sleep in, JC. That's that small, like, that's our free will. Like that's the willpower. Like we have that little moment where we can either sleep or get up. And naturally the getting up part, that's the hardest part. you're right, it does suck on the bike, but then you're like, gosh, how do you shift the narrative? Like that for me too, it's just like, just get up and then practice a little gratitude. Like, gosh, you did it. Or like just thinking of something you're grateful for. So that's another thing. Like I'll get up at 4:00 and some days I don't want to get up. Like, the bed feels amazing. But I've found that one split second, you just got to do it. Just do it. And no matter what, in 15 minutes, if you go drink a little bit of water, you're going to be up either way. You can't go back to sleep. So if you and for me, this is what I do is I just say something I'm really grateful for yesterday. So tomorrow it'll be, I'm so grateful for, JC and Angela for having me on, like just little tidbits of something good that happened. Maybe it's your daughter's JC. For me, I always think of one special moment with each one of my kids individually. So then it's like, I always have this system in place. So no matter what, I'm going to try to do something impactful for one person in my family individually. So again, for my wife as well, she's always in the mix. She's always like a priority. Because like you two, the more that you guys are working on yourselves, the more you don't have to worry about one another. Sometimes you do have to light a little fire, like just go do the bike, just do the workout, just make the call. So that is nice to have that special person. And that's where I do feel overly grateful for my wife, because she is that person where she's a harder worker than I am. Like she's just incredible. So I'm going to call her like the reason why I don't feel like I'm doing enough, because she's just a killer. So then I look at her and I'm like, damn, Will, like you need to step up. You need to be doing more. So maybe that's where it is. Yeah. So I see her, she's like a master organizer. She is just phenomenal with just scheduling. So I think I see that, and it's a comparison thing, but I just know that if I follow her lead, everything's going to be okay for me. So it's beautiful to have those people in your life. And in the Foxhole, it's like, who's in my Foxhole? Like that, I'm so grateful to have like my wife in that sense, because I see how hard she works. I see all of the things she does, not only in her work, her job, but as a mother. So again, going back to gratitude, that's something that even I'll remember tomorrow. Like you have to remember that in your brain. And then that just sets up a system for you. So you wake up each day feeling your best, because if that system's set up, you're doing that daily. And that's what we are. We're humans, but we are systemized. And you can either be systemized negatively or positively. And that's one thing that it's taken me a lot of years. And I'm just starting on that self-discovery path. It's been like 5 years, but I'm new to the game, but I keep messing with my systems, messing with my habits. And as I keep doing these better and better habit stacking, then life continues to flow even on the worst of times.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'm a true believer in that. The daily rituals, I used to call them routines, but I think rituals sounds better. But you said systems, and exactly having those in place so that it isn't a decision that you wake up every day. That's your decision. You get up at 4 every day, no matter what. It's not a decision. And then you continue to put the rituals in place, the habit stacking, the grateful. And how many of those rituals can we put into place that are automatic and intentional on the growth path that we want to be on?
And they do take time. So I always, for most people, we get kind of lied to with the 21-day fix, the 90 days, 60-day, whatever weight loss plan. But on average, it takes 66 days to create a habit. That's crazy, because it can go from anywhere from, let's say 20 days to 284 days. But most people aren't willing to stick in it that long. So with me, I just try to give myself at least 3 months of trying something. And people always say 6 months, but you do have to sit into it. So to create that habit stack, you have to do it for longer than you need. And you're so right. As you do gratitude, if we wake up and we're in the theta state, I do the gratitude right away. And then I find something that is going to help me grow as an individual. So maybe that's something on YouTube. Maybe it's a Tony Robbins. Maybe it's an Alan Watts. But that's my treat. I'll take a shower. Maybe I'll do it a little bit cold. Most of the time I don't. I usually do that after like a sauna, but I'm getting there. But I know that's going to take time. So if I keep practicing and don't stop, it will become in my system at some point. So I'm learning that. And it's a long game. It truly is. Life is a long, long, long game. Even though we say it, you blink and it passes. That's true, but you have the option to, make life pretty freaking awesome. So that goes with my systems.
So, well, I'm going to ask you in a second talk about a win or something you're celebrating, but you said earlier that your body is your business card, your biggest business card. I really like that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, no, I take it. And I say that, JC, because I worked in skilled nursing for 11 years. So with that, I think I got really complacent. I got really comfortable. So you make a lot of money and you think that currency is being able to go to dinner, to go buy this nice bottle of wine, to go buy drinks for your friends. And what happened was I ballooned up to 280 pounds. So I've always wanted to be this guy. I've always wanted to be in shape. I've always wanted to have veins on my arms. And now I'm like, with that, like if I chose to be this person, JC, which again, if I'm the body engineer, I have to give all my effort to my body. I have to biohack it. I have to make it a staple of me. So when you see me, you're going to be like, this guy, I think he knows discipline. I think he knows consistency. I think he talks nice about himself. I think he really cares what he's doing for himself. And with that, like, again, that's a big seller for you. Naturally, I do care about my body, and it's how I get clients. And I think people see me really putting in the work. And with that, like, that's just my role. That's what I chose to do. And with that choosing, it's my obligation to, really give back to myself so that I can give back to everybody else.
I'm going to piggyback on the body as your business card too. And then you went into the skilled nursing. I remember one of the first times working with you, it just was this awareness. Not that I didn't realize I was old, but you creating that, I think we just get such complacency of our body and that we are aging and that you need to do different things to take care of it or you won't be moving. Like you're creating the awareness in me. I was a dancer for years and creating the awareness of how much flexibility I have lost because I wasn't pushing myself to do the work and be in the pain and what I would lose in aging if I didn't rapidly shift and do something about it. And I think people get really complacent in that and then have the inability to move. Right.
Well, and that's another compounding effect too. We have these self-limiting beliefs and we also get, we'll watch a professional game and they're talking about this guy's 34 years old. He's the oldest player in the NFL. And we think of that and it hits our brain and we're like, damn, I'm getting old. I'm old. Like I can't be running. I can't be jeopardizing my life because, I have kids to take care of. But people take that and then they stop doing what they really love. They stop improving and they stop, moving in ways that allow them to have fun. And I think about all the stuff that I still want to do. I'm 37, but man, I still, I like to rock climb. I like to climb. Like I like to wrestle around. If I didn't work on my body and work on all of its potential, I wouldn't have those opportunities. And with that, like, I'm just getting started now. Now it's like, I can't wait. Like I go and compete in these things and I'm in like the master class. Like I'm like 40 years old and like, there's only like 2 or 3 people. So what happens when I'm 50? What happens when I'm 60? Maybe I didn't win when I was younger, but I will win. I will outlast people. And that's what I'm seeing is to outlast people, you have to work on your weaknesses. So that's one thing too, is like working in skilled nursing showed me like, you don't have to go there for one. Just remember that. And if you don't want to go there, you better do the things that suck, because if you're going to do the things that everybody else is doing, a lot of people end up there. So I just think, look at everybody and do the exact opposite.
Yeah. I'm 42 this year, and I've already ran more this year than I have combined any previous year. And just keep pushing myself to want to do better and just find where my limit is. Like, where do I want to stop? I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep cycling, and I'm not going to slow down because I want to be able to enjoy the things that I wasn't able to enjoy at a younger age.
Gosh, I love it. I just did my first sprint triathlon, by the way, speaking of running and biking. I did it 2 weeks ago. Awesome, but humbling. Yes. Humbling because I didn't train for swimming one ounce. I was a lifeguard in high school, so I thought like, it's like riding a bike. Wrong. Because you gotta remember like, I'm gonna fatigue out. My legs are gonna fatigue out, and But I shot for an hour and a half, and I got an hour and 34 minutes, which I'm pretty grateful for because I didn't do all the training I should have. But I'm actually doing one in July 16th. If you're in town, go ahead. I have an extra bike that I'll let you use. But you're right. Like, just keep pushing the threshold, because if you can do something today, why can't you do it tomorrow? So if it makes any logical sense, like if I push myself in this weird position today, I can do it tomorrow. And if it's compounding over the years, hopefully when I'm 90, I can still do these things, and I think that's my thinking. And I chose this, I chose this person, and I had to shed my old bigger self, my fat self. But now this person I chose, he can't stop.
I love that you said logical sense, though, because some of the stuff we do, and it's great to be in circles and have people like this in our lives that just challenge you or put things out there that don't make logical sense. It did not make logical sense for you to go try this, try the sprint triathlon. And a couple weeks ago, I guess it was just a week ago, we were talking, you were telling me about somebody that was running 50 miles. And I'm like, I wonder how many I could do.
Right. But you just need that little idea. And that's where you can't just go sit at a bar and just think you're going to get these killer ideas. Mm-hmm. You got to go immerse yourself in that long run. You got to go to Zarinsky and then see somebody running that 50 miles. And then from there, that sparks, how many can I run? Let me go try it. I don't know. So it's pretty cool. And I think keep finding these people, and you're going to keep finding more and more of your potential. So in your Foxhole, keep all of these pushers, we'll call it, pushing limitations away. That's what we'll call it. Pushers, seekers, seeking the next adventure, seeking the next answer. Because I guess as an entrepreneur, like, maybe we haven't hit that pinnacle of the idea. It just hasn't came yet, or maybe we just didn't see it the way it needed to be seen. So as it comes, be ready for it. And to be ready for it, I actually had a conversation with one of my buddies. He's like, I hit this pinnacle of success, but I wasn't happy with my body. I wasn't happy internally. So the next time that I do hit that pinnacle of success, I'm going to work on, again, our weaknesses. I'm going to go work on me. And that really made sense. So it's like, if once I hit that pinnacle of what I deem successful, like I truthfully think I'm like the most successful person in the world, because I love my beautiful family. I love my wife, and that was hard. Like that's hard work. That's a business in itself. And that's one thing that, you can't pay for. You can't pay for a physique. You can't pay for a happy home. And with that, I'm like, man, I'm pretty lucky. Health is wealth for me. And, like it makes sense. So, yeah. And I don't want to keep all this time because I could keep talking. I love talking to you guys.
I love that. And the people in your Foxhole, like pushing you to your potential.
Yeah.
Like the people that bring out your potential. And that if you aren't constantly seeking those spaces and those people in your Foxhole, you'll never see what your potential really is.
Right. And that speaking of that, like my wife and I are going to go do this 76-mile bike ride this weekend. It's called the Bakun ride, but it's just all these little tests, and I think, who do you think you're going to meet out on those bike rides? I think it's all those people, pushing away limitations.
Yeah,
so
like-minded people. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like finding those things, and, it doesn't have to pertain to your business, but that the physical body does do something in the business world. Maybe there's different ways around it. I think of maybe some of the most successful people, maybe materially successful, but internally, I don't know. But I do know most of the people that I find doing these crazy things, like you guys, whether it's that 50-mile bike, like more often than not, they're ridding those demons. They're getting rid of that self-limiting talk. They're expunging that energy to get more energy and, finding that next thing. And again, it's not like, life is a journey. You're not going to we can't rush to the end. That's death. So you got to keep finding these fun little things along the journey. And it's going to be there. They're always going to be there. I think about the movie Prometheus, like this one guy, he's lived for forever. You guys can check it out, but he attains every skill imaginable, like he's riding a bike with no hands. He's throwing a basketball, he's swishing it. And that's like life. Like if we find these different things to really immerse ourselves with, maybe there's the power of 10,000. So maybe we have the opportunity to get 5 things in this lifetime. If you think about it that way, you'll choose to do things that you truly love. And with each one of those, like those skills will add up. And I think, my father-in-law, Ron Carson, told me, Will, life was just practice until I got to about age 50. It was like all the things that I did in my life, it was just practice. And hearing him say that, I was like, so you're telling me I don't have it figured out. Yeah, like I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, And I think if you have that curiosity in the brain, I think life stays a little bit more fun. And and you just be open-minded, be open to that next big idea. And when it's ready, ensure you have the people in your foxhole that, will push you, that believe in you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've taken a weave through the winds and
no, but this has been great. Like,
I have so many nuggets. You did so great.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, you've given us so much information today. I mean, it's been so fun talking to you. Where do people go to find you if they want to get to know more about being working with you or the body engineer? I love that.
Oh, right. So I do a lot of stuff through Instagram. I think that's where Angela and I found each other. Instagram, I do online coaching, and a new hat that I'm taking on is, I'm working with a friend of mine, Charlie Engel, who he's ran the Sahara Desert. Kind of crazy. So we're getting into more like CEO coaching. So how do you basically show up loving life in every aspect, whether that's physical, mental, spiritual, business. Like we do have business coaches as well in our foxhole. So that's another thing. But Instagram, or, I can share, I've got a website, but I do most of my stuff through Instagram. It's so much easier because it's right there all the time. So strength and skill by Will.
Perfect.
Yeah. So with that, I truly appreciate this, and just reach out. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and truly honored to be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Will.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Will. You're a great friend, and we are blessed to have you in our lives and for you to share with the audience. So thank you for joining us for another In the Foxhole.
See you guys.